Right, so as the flip chart says, welcome to the micro-tutor session on how to assemble scuba gear. Hands up, who's done scuba diving before? Oh, very good, very good. So you can be really volunteers.
I tried it once and I ended up.
Sorry?
I tried it once and I ended up floating on the top, and
That's okay.
everything was going on.
Very common. It's better than the other way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not a good idea. So, yeah, we've got some people who've got some experience. For those who haven't got experience, I'm going to hopefully try and keep it as simple as possible for the next minute. So, what are we here then? How to assemble scuba gear. The aims, let's give you an overview. Obviously, scuba diving, you need to be quite well trained, because what you don't know in scuba diving may do you serious harm. And the problem is, it's in a completely alien environment, so we are not designed to breathe underwater. If you don't do it properly, you may not come up. Although, can I just point out that I've been a scuba diver myself for the last 17 years. I've only ever had one problem, and that was my fault, not the gear. It's an extremely safe sport. It's, again, as with any sport, if it's not done properly, it can cause harm. But lots of people think that scuba diving is only for the super fit and the super rich. Not at all. As you can see. Also, the most important bit really is assembling is easy enough, but observing safety whilst assembling. Some of the equipment we've got, like the cylinder, it's got very high compressed air in there, and if we don't treat it properly, it might well become a missile and fly across the room and put that wall out, which it probably could do. So anything marked with an asterisk is a safety feature. Okay, and that's what we're really observing safety during assembly, so we don't hurt ourselves and, more importantly, hurt someone else. So let's start off then with the components. I'll put it on here. One 12-litre scuba cylinder. Okay, black and white denotes it contains air, and that's the first myth. Scuba divers don't breathe oxygen. For various chemical reasons, going to depth breathing oxygen may well kill you. At certain, anything above 6 metres really, anything beyond 6 metres, oxygen can become toxic. So, air. Simple, plain air, compressed to about 232 bar. You can, this cylinder's a 232 bar cylinder, you can get a 300 bar cylinder. Bar, by the way, is just a unit of pressure. Most of your car tyres are probably pumped up to around about 2 to 3 bar. This has got 120 times the pressure of that. So for that reason we have to treat it very carefully. When it's unattended, it always lies on its side, so if it falls over, this doesn't get damaged. This is called a K-valve, wouldn't worry too much about that. And very important, before we try and put anything to the cylinder, there's a little black ring in there, and we've got to make sure that's in. That will seal the regulator system, so we'll be able to breathe off it. If it's not there, it's going to make a very loud hissing noise when we switch the air on. It can be quite scary. Okay, so that's the cylinder, that's the first bit. Try and keep the cap on because the air ring can drop out, and we don't want that to happen. If you ever go into scuba diving as a hobby, it's always a good idea to keep spare O-rings. Right, the next thing then is the BCD. BCD, or depending on your organisation, you can just ask for those who've done scuba diving, which organisation was it you did it with?
I just done it on.
Paddy? BSAC?
I had done it on holiday, like a little.
SSI?
I mean, no, I just went on. It was in Mexico, and I just done like a little.
The two main diving bodies in the UK are BSAC, which is the British Tobacco Club, and Paddy, which is the Professional Association of Diving Instructors. It's not an Irish company, it's actually American. So the BCD components. This, can I just ask by way, and what was yours?
I just did it on holiday as well, but my wife's a master diver, so she was like, get in there, you'll be fine. Brilliant. Paddy, yeah, sorry. Yeah.
BSAC, don't call, well, they do call it BCDs now, but they used to call it stabilisation. This is what's going to stop us plummeting to the bottom. And basically how it works, the deeper we go, the more pressure water exerts on us, the less buoyant we become. We put air into this, so we can become, and what the scuba divers always aim to achieve is neutral buoyancy, so we don't go up, we don't go down, we stay level. So check over, make sure there's any serious, any damage to it at all. Check to make sure, this is the really important bit, this is the inflator valve, this is the carrying handle. At the back here, we've got the cylinder strap, and that's really it. It's just literally a waistcoat that we wear to achieve this neutral buoyancy. So that's a BCD, or buoyancy control device. Okay with me so far?
Yeah.
Good. This might get a little complicated. This is your life-preserving gear underwater. Without this, you won't stay very long under. Well, you might stay too long under if you don't look after it. Let's go through the component parts of this. This is called the yoke. If we unscrew the yoke screw, surprisingly enough, inside there is where this fits onto the cylinder, that little O-ring. If you want to pass that around, just have a quick look. In fact, because of time limits, I'll just show you as you go. Okay, so that's got to make sure there's no dents or damage in that, otherwise it won't seal properly on the O-ring. If that's damaged, diving halted for the day unless you can hire out some more gear. Okay, now this bit here, obviously if we try to breathe 232 bar off that cylinder, it would hurt. This bit here is called the first stage. This reduces the high pressure from the cylinder into what we call an intermediate pressure. It's about 14 bar, approximately. Okay, so that's the bit that makes us able to breathe off the cylinder. Now, does anyone know what scuba is short for?
Subterranean,
Yeah, sorry?
subterranean,
Nearly there. The SC,
would be
self-contained. Self-contained underwater breathing apparatus. For those of a certain age, you might remember Jacques Cousteau.
Yep.
He was the person that, well, not just him, there was another person as well, but he was the one that invented this in the 1940s. Okay, so we've got our first stage, then we've got all these little bits and bobs coming off it. This is what we call the second stage. Okay, this is the bit we stick on our mouth and we breathe off. This has what we call a purge valve on the front, so if water gets into that, we can force water out by pressing that valve. That's the main one. That's the one that you breathe off as a scuba diver. We have a second one. This is called the alternate second stage. It doesn't mean that if this one doesn't work, we start to breathe off this one. This one is for your buddy. Because as divers, we always dive in pairs. So if you get into trouble underwater, your buddy can help. So there we go, that's your buddies. This is normally a bright colour, so it's easily to be seen in the event of emergency. Okay, it's normally fitted between the triangle of the chest, and if every scuba diver fits in between that triangle, if you're in a group of large people underwater and your buddies swam off away from you, you can still help someone else. We will be, on the scuba course you will be taught hand signals, because it's only polite to ask before you take. And so you should give the appropriate hand signals, which is, I'm out of air, give me air. Yeah, and as a diving instructor myself in the past, the symbol is out as MasterCard or Visa. So we've got our sort of turn second stage, and this is called the console. Okay, the console consists of a depth gauge, which is really useful because we've got to calculate various other tables on another part of the course, how long you've been down at depth and what depth you've been at, because the deeper you go, you absorb nitrogen from the air in the cylinder. Okay, if you come up too quickly or you stay down too long, you might get a condition. Do you know what the condition is called?
Bends.
The bends, yes. It's actually called decompression illness. Little bubbles form in the bloodstream because they start to come out as you absorb them, they dissolve into the blood as you dive, and if you come up too quick, they can't escape through the lungs as they should, form little bubbles in the bloodstream, they can cause some pretty serious problems. So that's the depth gauge, and that tells you how much air there is in the cylinder. That's a submersible pressure gauge. in a console. And the last one in there is this one here, which is your BCD hose. This will allow you to connect the hose to the BCD to the cylinder and allow it to inflate it. Any questions so far?
Did you say the BCD hose is what inflates your waistcoat thing?
Sorry?
The BCD hose connects to the...
BCD. It's connected to the cylinder via the first stage.
Okay, so what, does the air in the tank inflate your...
Yeah, it inflates the jacket. There is an alternative way that on a diving course you also learn to inflate the jacket orally should the BCD hose fail, the valve. But you normally practice that underwater in a pool where the surface is about there. So if you do make a mistake and you take in water, stand up, and job done, no harm done. Bit of coughing and spluttering, maybe a few tears, but no serious harm.
If you inflate your jacket through the hose, doesn't that
Sorry?
balance, if you inflate your jacket through the hose by breathing into it, doesn't that balance things out at all?
Yeah, that's exactly it. As the pressure, because there's air in this now, as we go deeper, the pressure of the water will squash the air in that. And basically, if we go down just 10 metres in depth, the volume of that air in that will reduce by half. So we've got to put air in to keep it inflated. You can do it manually, but hopefully the BCD hose never fails. It's a last resort, that's why I've always got that. This particular jacket, you can breathe off this coming up, so if you run out of air, you can breathe off the air in this jacket. Never ever want to do that. Okay, so, moving on. The assembly bit. We check the O-ring, and this is the first bit. People try and put the jacket, or put the cylinder into the jacket. No, put the jacket over the cylinder. Because this is quite a heavy piece of kit. Swinging around a BCD over a jacket, or a jacket over a BCD, is not really the way to go. So I'll just show you here on the chair. So literally, make sure the valve opening is facing the front of the jacket, or BCD. That, the valve is released, goes over there, and we want the top of that valve roughly level with the handle of the BCD. We don't want it, this particular jacket here, there's a little gauge that you can actually put over there, so we don't have to hold it as we tighten it up. If this is too high, when you dive, you're diving horizontal, stick your head up, you crack your head on the back of this valve. Too low, and you'll find that these hoses aren't long enough, and you'll be being dragged into water, being pulled to one side. Okay, straighten this up then, so literally pull on that, drag your ankle a little bit across, pull on that till it's tight. Now this particular strap here, when you lock it, actually tightens it that little bit more. Okay, put it under tension, flip it through there, use this as a lever and just literally go over there.
There's nothing holding the bottom of the cylinder.
Sorry?
There's nothing holding the bottom of the cylinder.
No, this is the first thing, to make sure it won't fall out when we're diving. Give it a shake. If it drops, we need to tighten it strap.
You want an extra strap, don't you?
I want to do that. That's my air and breathing.
I've got to bear in mind they've been using this gear now for nearly 70 years, and it only falls out of the strap at the back if it's not tight enough. I've seen it fall out of the back of the strap at 25 metres. That was an interesting dive. Someone lying mid-water would try to push the cylinder back into the jacket. So, there we go. That's the BCD attached to the cylinder. Now we need to attach the regulator system to the cylinder itself. So just like I said, we've checked the O-ring, we've checked that side there to make sure it's safe. It's not damaged. Remember, this bit tends to come over the right, so we need to make sure that that is on the right hand side. And the BCD hose is on the left. Offer it to the cylinder, make sure it's sitting on the O-ring, tighten up the screw at the back till it's finger tight. Don't yanking it. So literally just a little nip, just to lock it in place, and that will be sealed. Attach the BCD hose, so thread it through the strap at the top. To connect it, pull the little collar back, push it on, and push it forward till it clicks. Give it a little tug, to make sure it won't come off. Right, so we're attached, ready to go. We now need to switch this on. You've got to bear in mind this is going to go from 1 atmosphere to 232 atmospheres, like that. You don't want that popping out and hitting anyone in the face. So this is either shown to the ground or shown to the jacket. Turn the valve on, all the way, open, and half a turn forwards. And check to make sure you've got air. 210 bar. There we go. Any questions so far? We are connected. Good. Then what we'll do, we'd put it on, never leave the jacket up like that, whenever it's going to be left unattended, light on its back, so it can't be full over. Okay, lay the scuba down to avoid damage. A little bit of a practical exercise. I'm going to have to do pairs because I'm going to have there are 3 pairs. Okay, what you'll find in each envelope is 2 labels. So who's going to pair for whom? I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's 2. Okay, open up the envelopes. You'll find 2 labels in the envelope. And what I'd like to do, please, and I'll stay with the system so it doesn't fall off, is I'd like to stick them with the blue tack. Which I think. When you're ready, go.
Okay.
Start putting things on. I expect you, of course, to get everything correct. What have you got? The BCD. Hose. Is that the BCD hose? Should the hose be attached to the BCD, maybe? This is my dry suit hose. Because I don't wear wetsuits. I don't get wet when I go diving. I stay dry. Because there's a cold. BCD hose, remember? The hose that fits the BCD is the regulator valve.
Cookie, 1 first stage regulator.
First stage, excellent. Brilliant, well done. You've got which one have you got? Regulator second stage. Now, remember there's 2 second stages. There's the one that you breathe off.
Yeah.
There's one your body breathes off.
Okay.
So we've got a 50-50 chance of putting this on correctly.
Okay.
Spot on. Well done.
Okay.
Excellent. Excellent.
I'll do it for you. Save me.
Right. Oh, okay, Donna.
I'm Gemma.
Sorry, Jen.
That's right. Buoyancy control.
Oh, that's the easy one. That's the bit that inflates and deflates.
It inflates and deflates.
The jacket. Anywhere on the jacket would do.
Anyway, I just think of it.
Brilliant.
Thanks.
The console. Now, remember there's bits on the console that we use when we're underwater. Excellent. Well done, sir. Well done. And Matt. Inflator valve. Now, what inflates what? Just there. Excellent. Well done. Brilliant.
Yeah.
Stop for it.
Yeah.
On 20 minutes. Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Many thanks.
Bit of a shade here.